Hi, I'm Colin. I'm a full stack software engineer and I've been for about 5 years now. I got into programming through playing video games, so obviously I'd quite like to make some video games. The only problem is I can never finish one. I've been trying to make games since I was about 14 years old, which is kind of a long time to never release anything. Starting with Game Maker Studio, which actually taught me how to code, thanks to Tom Francis, who made Gunpoint. I've made quite a few prototypes in my time. For example, this top-down shooter inspired by Nuclear Throne, where you get randomly generated weapons in a randomly generated room. Your weapon can be a rocket launcher, shotgun, a machine gun, pistol, and it could be a combination of the weapons. So it could be a shotgun, rocket launcher, or something like that. Another game I made was a tower defense game where you place towers on a planet that spins to defend the planet from encroaching aliens. It was pretty fun to make. There was some cool asteroid type gravity stuff I added into this. More recently, though, I've moved on to Godot. This is because I wanted to do 3D stuff and also I want to export to more platforms like HTML and I don't want to have to pay for that using GameMaker. For example, you can see here I've made this parkour prototype. You may have seen clips of this on my YouTube channel already. It's a little bit neglected at the moment. Sorry, I might come back to it. It's just a huge project, which is the problem, right? I've never finished anything aside from like a small asteroid clone because I suffer massively from scope creep. I just love adding on new features and new features, and it's getting pretty tough. It's tough out here. So I decided to challenge myself to make a game in 2 days and give myself a super limited scope. So for this project, I stuck to two rules I set for myself. Plan everything beforehand, and absolutely no adding new features after the original plan. And I guess a third rule to finish it within a day, which I didn't quite manage. But this should have, in theory, motivated me to finish because I'd see the light at the end of the tunnel, always, right? So, how did I go about doing this? So, first, I created some concept art to allow me to visualize what the end product would be. This really helped with motivation and having a clear scope. Then, I created a Trello board with all the tasks I would need to do to create the game I had drawn in the concept art. The concept for this is a small 2D badminton game. Then, I opened up Godot and started working. First, I created a character controller, which I literally just used the template Godot script provided, GD script. Then I added a shuttlecock for which I removed the controls for the template script and added a little bounce function. Then I created a racket which had an overhead and an underarm swing. I used the animation player to achieve this, made it super simple, just rotated it and added some keyframes. I have an Area 2D on the end of the racket that when it intersects the shuttlecock, it will add velocity to the shuttlecock based on the direction the racket is facing. I also added a second player by duplicating the first player and flipping everything around and doing a little bit of extra scripting. So I could already sort of play against myself here. Then I added a net and a score mechanic, which would detect if the shuttlecock hit the floor on either side of the court, and it would update a variable containing the player's score, which would be reflected on the screen. I experimented with having the net cause the player to lose points as well, but that actually just made it too tough and not very fun. I also made a serving system, which basically involved adding an anchor point to each player and snapping the shuttlecock to these anchor points after it gets floored, after it hits the floor, right? And then I disable the serving mode on the shuttlecock when it gets its first piece of velocity added, so when the player first hits it. Then, just to finish off the first day, I added an end game mechanic. Basically done in a day, but not quite. So I decided to take it on to day two and finish off the game. So for day two, I decided to add some juice to the game, which makes it feel a bit more punchy. I added some screen shake, some particle effects, some sounds, and I updated the sprites with the hand drawn animation that you've seen now. You've been seeing it throughout the video. To be honest, I couldn't be asked disabling the animations to make this video. Sorry. Then I also created a simple AI that follows the shuttlecock's position when it's on the AI side of the court. And when the shuttlecock gets close to the AI, it swings frantically and hopes it hits it. It's very simple, but it seems to work well enough, and it actually beats me sometimes, which is honestly a little bit embarrassing, I think, but there you go. Finally, I updated the main menu and included an options menu that allowed the player to mute the game and rebind the controls. So, that's the game done. It's playable. There's a goal, there's an objective, there's a little loop. I've actually been playing it a little bit myself, so I'd say it's a success. I uploaded this to itch.io and Newgrounds and posted about it in my friend's Discord server. Made a little tweet, although I have 0 followers, so that was pointless, really. The game actually gained very little traction, but I got a few nice comments from the few people that did play it. Whilst obviously I'd like it to be a mega hit, let's be realistic here, it's a 2D badminton game. It's probably not going to be the next biggest thing, is it? Like, okay, not probably, definitely. But it was super satisfying to make, and I feel super motivated to continue on and create new games. I have some ideas to expand this into a full game, but I'm not sure whether I'd rather work on a different game or not. We'll see, basically. Let me know in the comments what you think, and yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.